The UK's Public Relations and Communications Association is expected to rule on a case involving PR firm Bell Pottinger. The association found Bell Pottinger in breach of its code of conduct due to work done for the Gupta-owned Oak Bay company in South Africa. The PRCA had given the PR giant until 6 p.m. last night to respond following a complaint lodged by the DA. Well, we're joined via Skype now by Daniel Munslow, the Vice President of the Public Relations Institute of South Africa, just to explore some of the issues that are coming out of this issue with Bell Pottinger and the Guptas. Morning, Daniel, and thank you very much for your time. Well, the latest reports, according to the DA, which had actually led the complaint in the UK against Bell Pottinger, is that they will be given some disciplinary sanction by the UK's public relations trade body over these allegations. What kind of sanctions can Bell Pottinger expect, from your knowledge?
Well, I think at this stage it's going to be very interesting to see the next steps and what happens between now and the 4th of September, and also whether Bell Pottinger chooses to lodge any appeal. I think in terms of any potential remedial action, the sanctions could vary from a fine, potentially expulsion from the PRCA. But I think what is going to be of interest to all of us is to see what happens to Bell Pottinger's clients. Are they going to remain with Bell Pottinger, assuming that certain sanctions are put into place, or are they going to walk out and say, take a stand, an ethical stand, and say, we choose not to do work with an organization that would have by that stage been found to have breached the code of ethics of the PRCA?
Okay, now is ending their membership of this association in the UK the worst form of sanction?
Well, I think the worst form of sanction would be the decisions that their clients take in terms of the interaction with them. But in terms of what the PRCA could potentially do, they would probably go so far as to look at terminating membership, either temporarily or permanently. I think permanently removing a member from an industry body, it carries quite significant repercussions to it. I think one of the things when we look here in South Africa with regards to PRISA and the Code of Ethics is that if you're a member of an association or an industry body like that, you are expected to uphold certain ethical conduct. And if you're a member, you can be investigated by that body for those alleged breaches and seek remedial action. If you're no longer a member and you commit a breach like that, the client actually has no recourse to go to that body to take any action against you. So I think that it would be quite significant if they were to make a decision like that. And again, what the clients would think of it, to me, would be the most interesting result.
Well, the other side of this is that the DA's complaint has been upheld, and that was really around the accusation that Bell Pottinger ran a very hateful and divisive campaign to divide South Africa along racial lines. Now, ethically, public relations firms are supposed to be dealing with reputation management, which should be a positive thing. But in this case, do you think there was some unethical behavior, or we should question the ethical nature of the work of Bell Pottinger?
I think if we look at PRISA's Code of Conduct, and there's one particular clause that says that no professional shall knowingly, intentionally, or recklessly communicate false or misleading information. Now, if we just look at that particular paragraph in the Code of Ethics, it would seem to imply that if we looked at that Code of Ethics in relation to the discussions around Bell Pottinger, there could be precedent to identify areas where they did breach a code of conduct. Obviously, we're going to find out what the final decisions are. But I think you've hit the nail on the head in this, insofar as these decisions and the complaints specifically that the Democratic Alliance laid points to a broader conversation around the communication and public relations industry. And a lot of conversations have been had in the past couple of months to say, is the entire profession unethical? Because effectively what Bell Pottinger has done is cast a shadow of doubt over the conduct and the way in which people engage with communication and PR firms. And I think a decision like the one that's come out of the PRCA, at the very least at this stage, to uphold the complaint, shows us that there is more to the industry, and that if we're willing to uphold important codes of ethics, that this is not symptomatic of the entire industry, but of a particular firm that took a decision to run a particular campaign that, as we have found, breached that particular code of ethics potentially.
Yeah, thank you very much, Daniel. Well, I guess the issue as well of self-regulation, whether it works or not, is also going to be questioned or being watched closely when the PRCA in the UK on the 4th of September announces its sanctions against Bell Pottinger. That was the Vice President of the Public Relations Institute of South Africa, PRISA, that's Daniel Munslow.